Hi everyone, I'm just going to be filming cleaning out my tank today. So this is something you should be doing every 4 weeks if you have your own tank, and it just keeps the tank nice and clean and healthy for the fish. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take off the paper backdrop because they're quite expensive to print and I can use them again later. So I have a couple of backdrops that I just keep in the drawer, the second drawer of the fish tank, and I just use them interchangeably. So then I'm just going to get a little bit of water, so clean water, just to put the fish in. So I also want to use the fish tank water because that's been cured for the fish. So I'm just going to get a little bit of that just to keep the fish in while I'm doing the rest of the vacuuming. The gravel and ornaments do tend to move around. The tank gets a little bit foggy and I just don't want to stress any of the fish out or crush them. So the next part is actually catching the fish, and this can be so difficult. I'm always really careful, and for that reason I find it really hard to catch them, just because I'm not confident all about catching them. I guess the best way to do it is just really quickly, because otherwise if you're chasing the fish around with a net, you're just going to stress them out. So once the fish are all caught, I can just go ahead and vacuum. I try to get really in between all the gravels because a lot of food and all different types of debris gets caught under the gravel. It is one of the I guess downsides to having gravel in the tank, is that things do get to tend to build up there. But once the fish are gone, I can just sift through all of that. I just use a siphon to do this. The only downside is you do need to start it sometimes by sucking through the tube, and that does lead to occasionally swallowing some tank water, which is disgusting. But I mean, if it's good enough for me, it's good enough for the fish. It just demonstrates how clean the water is. Yum, here's what we caught. So now all of that is taken out of the tank. This does tend to make the tank really foggy, so don't freak out if this happens. In this top drawer here, I'm going to show you some of the things I use to combat that. So it's where I just keep all my fish stuff. Then we just have this clear water, so you can get, there's lots of different brands that do this. I think this is Aquapet, but this basically just bonds all the small particles in the tank and allows them to be caught in the filter. So otherwise these small particles in the tank might just go in and out of the filter without being collected. So next is the pH kit, and so this is really important just to test the levels of acidity and alkaline in the water. And then water conditioner, which is very essential when you first begin your fish tank, and essential the whole way through. Every time you add new water, you need to condition it. And then there's this stress line, which is also essential whenever you're adding new water. So basically it just builds up the good bacteria in the fish tank, and that just protects the fish against the bad bacteria, and also it's good for their slime coats. So here are all my little fishies excitedly awaiting to go back into their home. I'm just going to try and get them back into the tank as soon as possible, just because it's not very good for them to be in this water, especially as ammonia can build up with all these fish in such a small amount of water. This is 2 hours later from where we left off, and as you can see, all the fish are back in, swimming happily in the tank, and the water has cleared up completely and is no longer dusty or foggy, so it really doesn't take that long for it to get back to normal.